Hey Adventurers, so today's going to be my wrap up for the month of October 2024. Yeah, I don't have a whole ton to talk about, but I'm just gonna quickly go through these 4 books that I read. Okay, so all 4 of them I listened to on audio. I'll talk a little bit about my physical reading in a second here. But alright, so first one that I finished was Grail, which is the 5th book in the Pendragon cycle by Stephen R. Lawhead. This is one that I binged the whole series, books 1 through 4 in September, and then I finished up Grail in October, and I enjoyed the series quite a bit. Grail is a weird one. The Grail storyline in the Arthurian myth is always one that I actually really enjoy, but at the same time, it's really weird. It feels really weird to read it, and that's in any version of the story that you read. It just, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a dark, sad collapse of everything that was once good, and that's really exactly what you're seeing through this when you read the Grail quest in any of the Arthurian myths. And it's hard for me to explain the way that I feel about it, because I enjoy it. I love that storyline and the main players of that storyline and how everything works out. But at the same time, there's a wrongness to everything about it. Yeah. Anyways, Grail though, I enjoyed the book. It doesn't have terribly high stakes because you already know what's happening afterwards, because Arthur, which is book 3, it tells the story of what happens after the Grail quest. And well, part of that book is what happens after the Grail quest. And so you know, like, there's no stakes almost in many ways because you know what's going to happen. And in that way is a little bit disappointing, but I enjoyed Grail more than I enjoyed Pendragon. And I'm not sure if I enjoyed it as much or more or less than Arthur, but it was somewhere right around the same location as what I felt Arthur was. So enjoyable, not my favorite book in the series, and I enjoyed the series as a whole, but it's not my favorite Arthurian series I've ever read. And yeah, so enjoyable, plenty enjoyable. I'm very glad that I read it. I'm super excited for the TV show. I think that's going to, depending on how they do it, I'm not sure, because it feels like season 1 is books 1 and 2, which means I don't know how many seasons they were going. I was hoping for 5, but it's not looking like that's going to be the case. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is for it. But anyways, it was a fun read, and I'm glad that I did. I am very glad that I read it. So the next one that I listened to was An Acceptable Time by Madeleine L'Engle. This is the final book in the Time Quintet, I think. So it's book 5, and this is the same series with A Wrinkle in Time and the other books in that series. This is, once again, like, it's not a bad book. I just didn't love it. I'm not the correct age range. I really liked A Wrinkle in Time. A Wrinkle in Time was maybe because I have nostalgia tied to that, but I really enjoyed that story that was being told there. The rest of the series just hasn't been nearly as good. This one was better than Many Waters. Many Waters is my least favorite of the series for sure, but it wasn't I don't know. I have some thoughts, and I think I'm doing a review on it. I'm not positive because I don't remember if I did a review on all the other books in the series. If I did, then yes, I'll finish reviewing the series with An Acceptable Time. But I do have some thoughts on it, and I didn't hate it, didn't love it. It was just it was available when I needed something to listen to, and so I was like, all right, let's listen to that one type thing. And it was nice because it meant I finished up a series. Next one that I listened to was Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 of the Stormlight Archive. This is a reread for me. I previously physically read this book, except for, was it this one or was it book 1? I don't remember. One of the I think it's book 1 actually that has the issues. There's a printing issue in one of either Way of Kings or Words of Radiance, and I don't remember which one of the 2 it is. But anyways, this is my first time, or my second time reading it. The first time I physically read it, so the second time I've been going through them on audio, because that's how I know I can get to them in a speedy manner and in a way that I can re-listen to the whole series in time to be ready for book 5 when that comes out. Anyways, my thoughts on this. I remember really liking this book when I first read it. Like, it was below book 1, it was below Way of Kings, but not by a whole lot. And I really enjoyed book 2, Words of Radiance. I enjoyed Shallan's storyline. I enjoyed the like the scholarly storyline that was going on. Of course, that's Shallan's storyline and everything, and the exploration and the continuing expansion of the world and getting to know the world and the characters and all that. I understood, or I appreciated all that quite a bit. But on this reread, and I don't know if it's this book or if it's just the audiobook, but I didn't care for it as much on reread as I did the first time. And I have some, like, this is the one that everybody heralds as like his best. Either this one or Oathbringer is his best work that he's written. Depends on who you ask. This one went down in my estimation, in my rating, upon this reread. It was enjoyable, it was fine, but really the things that people, I genuinely think the things that people like about this book are their memories of certain scenes, one of them being White Spine Uncaged, which admittedly one moment in that scene is really, really good. And then the Sanderlench at the end. The Sanderlench is really good in this book. So those two things I think are really what make people love this book more than so many of the others. And 2 moments is not enough to make a good book. The rest of the book is not bad. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that. But I just did not enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed the first one. And I was surprised by that. Or as much as I did the first time around, and I was surprised by that. And so I will have a review for it. Obviously, I have a review to come out, but I don't know if it's the audiobook or or just the book, because when I read, the first time I read Way of Kings, I read it physically, and second time I listened to the audiobook. And my experience with them was almost exactly the same. And so you'd think that the audiobook if that was the case with Way of Kings, that it would continue to be the case with Words of Radiance and Oathbringer, and it wasn't. And that's interesting to me. I don't know why that is, but I will do a review of this, obviously, and talk more about my thoughts there. Then I listened to Knife of Dreams by Robert Jordan. This is book 11 of the Wheel of Time, so I'm approaching the end slowly. I'm gradually making my way towards the end of this series, which is good. I'm glad to be finishing up this series, because it's been ongoing for far too long now. And this one I didn't enjoy that much. It felt a little bit unnecessary. This one felt like a true slog book to me, from what I understand of what the slog is supposed to be. Many of the other books that are considered part of the slog don't feel like slog. Like, I enjoyed those books. This one I really didn't enjoy that much about. I really like Matt's storyline in this book and the stuff going on with Matt, but I don't care about anything else in the entire book, and that's unfortunate. That's not a good place to be. Yeah, I don't have a ton of thoughts to talk about with this right now. I will do a review of it, obviously, once I get there, but it was fine. I have some, like, it was one of my least favorite books of the series by far. And so yeah, that's really all that I have to say about it as of this moment. And I just remembered that I have one more book to talk about that I did not write down in my notes, and that's why I didn't mention it. And let me grab that real quick. All right, and so the final book that I listened to in October, so it wasn't 4 books that I listened to, it was 5 books that I listened to, which seems a little bit better, seems more accurate. That is Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. So this is book 3 of the Stormlight Archive, and basically I had the opposite reaction to this one as I did to Words of Radiance, where the first time I can't remember if I listened to this one or physically read this one the first time I went through it. Either way, I didn't enjoy it that much. The first time, it was fine, but I didn't love it the first time. Whereas on the second time, I appreciated it so much more. And maybe that's because I know what's coming in book 4. And so I could see all the pieces coming together for that in this book. And like, I was waiting for things to happen and remembering things and all that kind of stuff. So that is possible. It's very likely that played into some of it, my enjoyment to some degree. But also, I just thought the story was better upon this reread, especially after having been disappointed by Words of Radiance. I see now why people say Oathbringer is one of his better books, because I agree after this reread. The first time I read it, I don't agree with that, but upon this reread, I do. I like this one significantly more than I liked it the first time. What else do I have to say about this? I don't really have anything more to say about this. Of course, when I do my review of it, I'll talk more about it. But as of right now, this one changed positions with Words of Radiance for me in that I didn't like it as much the first time and liked it more the second time. So let's hope that keeps up, in that Rhythm of War I like more this time than I did the first time, which I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Oathbringer the first time, but less than Words of Radiance. And so we'll see where that falls. Fairly soon I'll be getting back to Words of to Rhythm of War so that I can be caught up and ready for Wind and Truth when that releases in December. So that is what I listened to in October. You'll notice that I haven't mentioned any physical reading. So, and if you remember, in September I also didn't have very much physical reading that I accomplished. And so the reason why I was doing this, so first off, in October I started reading The Night by Jane Wolfe. This is the first part of the Wizard Knight duology. I'm reading that with Liam and Shannon and Britton, and so they're far ahead. I was supposed to have completed the Night in October, and I didn't because of this other thing that I was doing. So I challenged myself to take September and October. I challenged myself to take September and October and read the entirety of the Bible in those 2 months. And so all of my physical reading time was spent going towards reading the Bible rather than reading these other books that I had going. And it was a great experience. I very much enjoyed that time and that experience, and it was a different way to approach reading the Bible than I've ever done before. I've read the Bible through several times, and I read various books several times, many times, but I've never sat down and read massive chunks of the Bible at one time. And that's what I was doing every day. I was reading a lot of one book or several books in one day. And so it was really good, and it was really helpful just to see the big picture of the Bible or of the individual books in a way that I've never really done before. And so that was a good experience and a good challenge for me, and I really enjoyed doing that. And I was absolutely physically reading during those 2 months. It was just on the Bible and not on these other books. And so that is why I don't really have any physical reading to talk about I will hopefully have more in November. I need to read the entirety of The Knight and The Wizard now in November because I didn't do it in October. So that's my plan going forward. Is my primary focus will be on Wizard Knight, but I will also I currently have an ebook going, so I'm going to try and be consistently reading an ebook as well. So like when I'm at work on my lunch break or something like that, I can read on my phone or something like that. And so that's hopefully I can be consistently reading with my eyes rather than just my ears as well. Anyways, that is my wrap up for the month of October. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.